All right, to watch this video for Tuesday, February 14th. The SPY continuing to break out. Before I get into this, quick reminder, this Thursday, let me double check the date here. This Thursday, February 16th, we are having our next free webinar, and it's going to be all about demystifying the pump and dump. You all have seen random stocks get random midday volume and people pile in, and then just as quickly they reverse. We're going to be talking about that. How to identify it, how to avoid making money from it, and also talk a little bit about how money can be made from these. But I think it's going to be pretty informative, pretty interesting, and maybe a little provocative. So we look forward to seeing you there. We are going to give away one free month to our membership to our chat room. We're going to do a drawing at the end. So that's to anyone who shows up. You're automatically entered in the drawing. You don't have to do anything. Go to my Twitter feed. Or look in the description to this video, or on StockTwits on my feed. I will put a link to register for the webinar. No one's going to be turned away. We've got enough seats that there's no having to register quickly or you won't get in. So there's plenty of seats. Should be fun. Free scotch for everyone that wants it. As soon as I figure out how to give free scotch online. Anyway, I think it's going to be fun. So show up. And also at the end, and it's not going to be a long thing, but we're going to be taking questions at the end about the webinar material itself and or anything trading related. That I can answer anything trading related as it pertains to me. I'm not smart enough to answer anything trading related pertaining to everything trading related. If that makes any sense. But I can certainly answer any questions about my methodology, which boiled down in short is sitting in cash unless and until I have a stock setting up, at a possible inflection point. I like to take entries where I should be green literally right after I take them, scale out quickly on some, let the rest run if I can, but defense first. So that is the style I have settled on after years and years and years of doing it. It is this style that the entire trading course that Wayne and I do is built around. And it's a good feeling. A lot of people say the entry doesn't matter. It's more about the exit and managing the trade and so on. I'll take the other side of that. The entry is everything to me, because if you're trading and you get in a stock and you're nicely green almost immediately, and you can sell some for a profit. For me, you're sitting on free shares. The rest of the shares you have are free as long as you vow to protect the entry on the rest of them, right? So for me, the entry is everything because it takes a whole bunch of the other stuff out of the equation. That whole, oh crud, I'm red. Do I buy more? Do I average down? The answer to that, by the way, is always no. But it takes a lot of other problems out of the equation. So most people I have found just don't have the patience to wait for those A+ setups to get to those inflection points. They always want to be in something. I am here to try to help you all to trade a different way, because I'd rather have all the cash I start with when a good setup comes than to be losing on something stupid I did in the morning and then have to try to make it back after that and so on. So, all right, I have babbled enough, but show up to the webinar. We're looking forward to it. The SPY continuing to break out, as I said, and I'm going to go into the watch list for tomorrow. BIOC, a really big pop here, another big pop here, a couple red days. I'm going to put that on balance watch. I think it still needs, I like them when they come in to get between the 8 and the 20 moving averages, but sometimes when they're super strong, they can turn before that. So I'm going to start watching that one tomorrow. IMMU put in a quiet, lower volume inside day after the big breakout, so possibly a third day play there. NAKD, just nothing but consecutive lower highs. Now we are getting into the area I just talked about between the 8 and the 20. So I'll be watching this one for a potential bounce. CAB, just another red day. It's getting down near this support. I didn't do anything with it today, but it goes back on watch because it's beaten up. And again, I'm just looking for a bounce on an intraday basis. I am not an overnight holder, okay? YELP, kind of the same thing. Another red day, but more of a narrow range than yesterday, and you do have some support, maybe a possible bounce in that one on Tuesday. PULM. Now, this isn't that pretty because you had this big pop, and then it kind of coiled, and then it resolved that coil to the downside. So I almost think it needs to work its way down in this area before I'll be looking for a turn. But having said that, you definitely have, the volume is really tapering off here, and you've got, 3 red days in a row. Maybe the 8-day, this area is enough. Maybe it flushes down around 4 and turns. I don't know, but it's worth watching. I like to go to 15-minute candles and look at what it's done the last few days. The last couple days, it has never broken the high that it set really right at the open. See here and here. Again, I just want to stress I'm not in love with this, but because it made this huge move, I definitely want to watch it tomorrow after 3 red days. But not in love with it. SINO, really nice breakout today. Switching to 5-minute candles pretty quick. A couple people in our room, Shia and Wayne. I'll have to almost go to 1-minute candles. This was on our morning gap playlist because it was a morning gapper. When it looked like this, Shia posted the idea of, maybe it looked like this, I'm not sure, of a red to green, which is back through the open, which would be 353, which it triggered there, went sideways for a bit, and then Wayne posted the volume in here. And see this volume spike? These are 1-minute candles, so that's massive volume. I literally, and this is a little bit, I don't want to say out of character for me, because it does meet one of the setups we teach in our course. I don't like to be the guy calling something long after it's just, let's see, 5 minutes ago it was at 340 and now it's up near 380. I don't like to be that guy because that literally took about 5-6 minutes to get from 340 to 380. That feels like chasing. It's far away from the moving averages, at least on 1-minute basis. But the reason I called it is you had massive volume. You had a gap up that kind of took off and then goes down, takes out the low of day. All this kind of action on these lower float stocks, you know what that does? That sucks in shorts. And man, they love to just drive the thing lower and lower all day and make a killing. And a lot of shorts, if you follow them, on Twitter, stock twits or whatever, actually make a killing doing that. All right. What I try to do is find the stocks where those shorts are failing. I don't like shorting the low float, low price stocks. But if they do, pop up and then grind lower all day, I just leave them alone. I don't try to get long that. I just tip my hat to the shorts and say, hey, you're making a killing. But I look for the ones where those shorts are in trouble. And that's what happens right here. So I literally called this long 378, 380. I was on the mic. Shia and Wayne both gave the heads up. And again, this feels a little bit like chasing, but I was comfortable because, one, I can control my risk with position size. Right? I don't have to take several thousand shares. I can take it small, right? And two, you had massive volume coming in. And what did you have to the left? You still had a possible high of day break. Why is that relevant? Because that's another catalyst. That's like the last line in the sand for people that have shorted this thing. Think about that. It gapped up, took out the lows, then ripped to new highs, then rips to new lows, or rips might not be the right term, but so shorts are pretty confident, right? And they're pretty confident on these little pops. It gets up back near the open price, it's probably going to roll up, and then it does this. All right, so you did have shorts on the rope here, so I called it long, right around 378, 380, worst case stop. Below where this volume started at probably 351, 352, and you can see what happened. And that was a really, really nice move. And I just scaled out all the way up, and I made about a little bit more than 1,000 after commissions, a little bit less than 1,000, or somewhere right around 1,000. But that's a nice little trade. And again, I attribute all of that to a couple things. One, having the right stocks on watch, finding this morning gap or checking the float, knowing it should be on a chart, and then two, the teamwork in the chat room, right? A couple posts, and then I jumped on the mic, and anyone who wanted it could have got in when I jumped on the mic right around 380. And it actually flagged for a couple minutes before really getting going. So anyway, that one stock, made my day. My daily goal is putting 500 and 1,000 a day, and most days I'm able to hit that. Exceeded it today, and in large part due to this SINO. So back to the daily, we might have a second day play on this one too. This and any of the other shippers. So it definitely goes back on watch for tomorrow. CERU, this was on the watch list today, and a nice pop and closing near its highs. I'll also point out that Wayne in our chat room jumped on and said he liked this over 135. You can kind of see these are 5-minute candles. You can see the big pop here and really kind of a flag pattern, and then it came up to the highs. Wayne typed it in the chat room over 135, and you can see what happened. That thing ended up going to 156. That's not too bad. 21-cent move on a dollar something stock is a nice percentage gain, and a great alert by Wayne. It goes back on watch for tomorrow because of the daily, right? This back here, you had this huge gap down, popped up into the gap on massive volume here. It looked like it was rolling over, and again, you've got a scenario where it got down into the gap, and the next thing you know, it's right back up near the highs. This on a daily chart almost looks like SINO did on that intraday chart I showed you. So shorts might get a little nervous and might cover if you can get up to this area. Definitely goes on watch for a continuation tomorrow. Having said that, it's made a nice percentage move already today. I always keep that in mind. because I never want to chase. MYOS got a really nice intraday pop today. This thing's had some huge pops. And then this morning, it just ripped higher. Somebody in our chat room, by the way, pointed this out over 390. I think it was Bert. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I apologize if I'm wrong if I got the name wrong. And man, what a great call over 390. That thing rips to 460 and held up fairly well. Not great, but because of the recent history of big moves, this one goes back on watch tomorrow. ELMD, nice breakout today. It's a lower float stock. Want to watch that for a continuation. Again, be careful, because if you just buy this at the open, technically you're chasing and you're trying to make easy money. The market almost never lets you make easy money, but we get some kind of low risk red to green. It does become interesting to me. BNTC just goes back on Bounce Watch. It was on Bounce Watch today, no trades in it. Volume is really tapered off on this thing, but you know, it did close above its open, and it did hit the 8-day, so maybe there's something there. And then lastly, I have URRE, uranium stock showing a little strength again. This one closed really strong. Now, I mean, it's got some stuff to the left here, but I do like the volume on these green days. And if you look at the uranium itself, the actual metal itself, right back up to recent highs. So that makes me want to watch URRE. And that's it. We'll add some potential gappers in the morning as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow.